I'm Anarchy. I'm with Maddmozz again. This is Mozzcast. We're with Rob's brother, one of my oldest and dearest friends, and one of the most knowledgeable toy people I know, Maddmozz.
What's up, guys?
What's going on? What's
yo,
going
yo,
on?
yo. What's going on
All right.
YouTube?
So we're having an episode to discuss Mego, and not really sure how deep we're going to go. I know
go pretty deep.
I'm looking at things that everything's starting to come back to me, like some of their first figures, Joe Namath, Action Jackson, Dynamite, right? And I completely forgot about that stuff. And we have if it wasn't for Mego, honestly, guys, I don't know if I'll be collecting anything right now. Although I wasn't the biggest fan. I was born in '76, so I caught the last end of Mego, and I remember having the last batch of Hulk, right? Spider-Man. And I remember having some of my brother's figures of Batman and Robin, of course. And but I really wasn't into Mego for many, many years until I met you, Frank, in the early '90s.
Yeah, well, I'm older than you. I'm born in '67, so there's this huge, discrepancy in because everything that we tend to collect pre-internet tends to be things that we grew up with, right? I mean, that's how all of us started. So there's that special affection. So you really had no connection to Mego.
I did
like
not.
I would assume. I don't have to assume. I know it was Star Wars for you.
Yes.
Right. Which is what's so funny because Star Wars went 3 movies. So even though I'm a Mego guy as a kid, Rob and I, Rob's my brother, by the way. Rob and I, we transitioned from Mego into Star Wars because Star Wars was all encompassing. However, Rob's Star Wars tends to be more Ewokish, and I tend to be, and I tend to be more '77 original.
Right.
By the time Empire came out, I'm headed to high school and thinking about cars and girls, and Rob's, taking my action figures and putting them in dirt. And that's, that's kind of the truth. So Mego has a specific timeline, and it's really 70 to 77 in terms of its big hit, and really the death of Mego in terms of overall sales in 77 was Star Wars, along with a lot of other things Star Wars killed, because there was nothing but Star Wars in 77, 78, 79. We lived and breathed it. We were a generation that grew up with it. Your brother, Greg, I think is how old is he now?
56.
Star Wars had a big impact on his life. There's no way it didn't.
Right.
Even if he didn't collect the toys, he went to the movies and he had the T-shirts and all that stuff. So Mego had a very short span from 70 to 77 where it was in its heyday. However, it's amazing that I'm going into Target and there's Mego figures 50 years later.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
I know we will, but it's amazing that we're doing that full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back into it. So, anything you guys want to talk about with Mego, let's go.
One of the things, a lot of my Mego collecting came through you. I played with your Megos and got beat up a lot for playing with your Megos,
Yeah. And Star Wars, whatever.
We're 6 years different, so, there was a good age gap there, and I was breaking stuff, and, he really collected it and loved it. And one of the things, though, that I think the biggest, before Mego, let's go a little bit before there was 12-inch G.I. Joe. There was no smaller action figures.
No.
That posable like a G.I. Joe. And I think that Mego 8-inch body, what they did with it changed the game. And in the 70s, as far as licensing, as far as putting out product, because all they had to do was change a head and some clothes, and they had a different figure.
Right. They were innovative without a doubt. G.I. Joe and Mego have something that where they are similar though, and you guys will see the transition. We go from let's say GI Joes in their heyday were 60s and into the mid 70s,
and war killed them. The war.
Well, then they went into the adventure team type stuff, and then you go into Mego. However, the thing that they have in common, not scale, but they're more doll-like. In the sense that by the time we get to the 80s, Star Wars had changed the game, and everything was this big and was superpowers, Secret Wars. Everything's 3 or 4 inches tall. Even G.I. Joe finally ended up being 3 inches tall. Right. So that's a really unique period in that we see how G.I. Joe affected everything, but also how Mego was took from Joe and really went cheaper because Joe quality was amazing.
Well, they started with Action Jackson on that body, right? Was that how it started? Right.
Yep.
That was the original from the TV show.
Yeah, and it was a copy of G.I. Joe, a cheap knockoff adventure team. And basically what happened, it sucked, it didn't sell, and it sat on the shelves. And Marty Abrams came up with, hey, what are we going to do with all these goddamn thousands of Mego bodies sitting around in Hong Kong? And it forced them, so.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a picture of the bodies to share.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys see that?
Yeah.
The type 0, type 1, type 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, Greg, are you familiar with all this right here?
Yes. Yes, I am. And with the next generation of that, when the people started customizing and they started putting, the LJN shoulders on the Mego body to make it more muscular.
When you say LJN, what does that mean?
Frank, help me out here. So when Charlie Flat started customizing Megos, and I don't know if that's something we want to get into in this episode because we've done another one, but
sure.
The LJN figures. What do you remember? What they were?
LJN was a company that was copying Mego, so they had to make their own body. The thing that was cool was LJN added more articulation to the shoulders and more importantly to the forearms. It let the forearms move this way. I don't know if you can see, right? Okay. And basically
another point of articulation then, right?
Another point of articulation. So consequently, what Greg wants to avoid getting into the custom aspect. When customizers, specifically Charlie Flat, got into it, they started saying, look, I want this articulation. So they started hybriding the arms from LJN figures onto Mego bodies.
Right. So when you see Type 0, how long did that run? Do you guys know?
Well, Type 0 was the first Action Jackson body, but it's weird because there's Type 1, but Type 0, the very, very first early bodies were even more primitive, but they didn't last long. They started falling apart, but it was basically what you would consider a Type 1 body. So it's like an early version of a Type 1.
And the Type 2 was the later body, right?
Yeah, Mego had enough money to, the thing that we take for granted today is that we've got laser printing and we've got all these aspects. I mean, you could really, if the three of us could come up with enough money, we could start an action figure line and produce it relatively cheap in relation to what they had to do 30, 40 years ago. Mego was making so much money with their superhero line and their Planet of the Apes line. And we'll talk about the licensing because that's the key to Mego. And it's also their downfall, but their licensing, they were making so much money. And the founder, a guy named Marty Abrams, a young guy in his 30s with a god. Big set of balls and a great head of hair, right? Well, Marty
head of hair.
Yeah, I know he does. He looks like Fonzie still. Henry Winkler when he's old. But basically, I mean, think about it. They were a company that rather than rest on their laurels, made a second body because Marty was never happy with the quality of the first body, and that the tooling back then probably a couple $1 million. Wow. So it's a commitment to quality that because Mego always gets the shtick they weren't as good quality wise as G.I. Joe, which is. It is accurate, but you go take a look at the quality of those clothes. Pretty damn good for $1.88 in 1977.
Right. Now, for me, there's a charm to this, right? Like I never really collected Mego, and like I told Rob before, there's some that I really like. Thing and Hawk, and I think the Mr. Fantastic sculpt is still one of the best sculpts I've ever seen, right?
Without a doubt.
But that body that Rob just had up is the key to my collecting habits, even now. Like that body is like has such charm to it, and is such I have such a connection to it because I do collect custom Mego figures now, even though I didn't really care for the original Megos back in the day. But man, that body has a lot of meaning for me.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, definitely. And you don't want to get into the custom. I understand that you guys did a show on flat already.
Right.
So
a little bit.
But the thing, I'll throw this out there, and I say this with no hesitation. Greg and I were into custom figures a long time before it was what it was today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the internet was new. I mean, we're talking 96, 97, right, Greg?
I would say so, yeah.
Somewhere in that time frame, and I definitely know it was before 2000 because I always associate it with 9/11, so I kind of can time it that way. But I definitely know this, and this is a bold statement, but it's factual. I don't give a fuck if you take Secret Wars, Superpowers, 6-inch Marvel Legends, G.I. Joes, any fucking custom figure that's being done today owes a homage to a guy named Charlie Flat. That's how in the forefront he was of the idea of marketing, selling, and manufacturing custom figures. And there's a I was thinking about this today because I knew I was going to be on. There's a famous line in Godfather where Mo Green says to Al Pacino, whoever the guy who started Vegas, and there's not even a fucking plaque in the city for him. Well, the truth is there should be some, look, without getting into Charlie.
Yeah, we're going to pay homage to him, Frank. We're going to do that. We're going to try and get him on the show. You're absolutely right, man. That's a game changer in itself. Charlie Flat himself.
Well, yeah, because I don't think the guy who's sitting down, going on the internet and watching JoJo's Customs on a 6-inch figure realizes, the origin of where that started.
Well, with the necessity, with anything, there's evolution, and
I'm going to make that website, JoJo's Customs.
Yeah, I know. Oh, dude,
another thing you brought up earlier that I wanted to touch on was the way Mego sold their stuff. You know what I mean? Was pretty incredible. The marketing they did. Was.
I'm gonna get my. I'll talk. I'd love to talk about that if you guys. All right, this is. Yeah, Rob, you're gonna show their countertop display.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, this is
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, what 8-year-old walks by that and doesn't fucking scream until he gets one?
Not me. I mean, I'm kicking and screaming, man. Come on.
I mean,
give me the superheroes.
A lot of people don't now. Marty was a classic New Yorker. So he had a lot of New York connections in the sense that, he lived in the city. Look at that. And he just, the marketing on that, is just, and that's a countertop. But I don't know if people understand it's way beyond this.
Oh, yeah.
When Mego.
This was in store. This was in store,
right.
But they did advertising through TV, which was unheard of.
The first commercials, some of the first toy commercials that actually showed, not animation because you weren't allowed to use animation.
Stop motion or something like that.
Yeah. But there's crazy shit that they did too. Mego acquired the Wizard of Oz, which ironically is one of their best-selling lines ever. They sold tons of Wizard of Oz.
They're nice. They're nice figures, absolutely.
I know, but you got it home like the Fonzie Mego, and you said, "What the hell do I do with it?"
Right.
I
want to take a quick minute to pay homage to the MegoMuseum.com. I'm friends with a lot of those guys that actually run that site, and the MegoMuseum.com is the biggest Mego site on the internet, and they have kept the
flag
brand,
flying.
Yeah, the flag flying for 30 years at least. So I will post links in the description so they get credit for everything that we're showing right now. But a big fan of Mego Museum. How many,
without doubt,
weeks and months and a few years that we just spent time on the Mego Museum, Frank and I. So big shout out to those guys.
in the same basement with no video, but actually just audio talking about Migos. Pre-internet, man.
Mm-hmm.
Early internet, to actually find somebody out in the wild that actually liked what you liked was a big deal.
Right.
Very, very isolated pre-internet with what you collected.
I remember, Frank, you had, and this might have been before 96 and 97. This might have been 94, 95. I remember coming over. You lived in a trailer park by the college, and
Yep.
I remember seeing
20 years old. Yeah.
the best collection I've ever seen, and I was reintroduced to the Mego stuff. I remember you having solid boxes, right? The original solid
There's
boxes.
a story behind them.
There's a story behind a lot of that shit. I don't want to drift off too far. I'm happy to talk about my old collection.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to point out, like, when we talk about marketing, because that's what Mego was about. Like, this is crazy. I was talking about Wizard of Oz. Marty actually had a party. It's a famous party in New York where he invited the entire cast that was still alive of Wizard of Oz, including the Munchkins. Did a whole cast, castle, the green shit from Wizard of Oz,
right?
And actually had a Wizard of Oz coming out party to toys. I mean, that's unheard of. Today we got Comic Cons and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
He also, like
catalogs. Catalogs I heard were real big from Mego, right?
Oh yeah, everything
and they're
was
highly
big.
collectible. I heard now they're really collectible. Like
they really are. Yeah, Mego was just in the forefront of promoting themselves, promoting Mego, and all of that goes back to Marty, who was again the founder of the company. So. But he was also we'll talk later. He made some mistakes. But if you guys want to talk about collections, I could. Mego is the reason. I was about 18, 19. I just graduated high school, moved in with my girlfriend to a trailer, and right down the street was a place called Vineland Flea Market. And that's actually how I met Greg, through a friend of his, John. But I'm at. You don't realize when you're a kid they're just toys. I'm at Vineland Flea Market, and in a box of toys, I'm just looking around, not really sure what I'm doing at the flea market. I found a Mego thing with a broken leg. I actually took it home and put a screw. Now you can screw, fix the leg. Nice. And from there, it just took off. Like, wow, they became more than toys. Now I need to find my childhood memories.
Sure.
And, Greg will tell you, back in the old days, there used to be what was the name of that toy paper?
Toy Shop?
It was Toy Shop. Yeah, Toy Shop. Toy Shop would come out, and you'd get it, and you'd scour, it was basically Toy Shop did articles, and then people sold stuff. And you'd call a guy and say, "Hey, you got Mego Batman?" And he'd be like, "Dude, you just missed it. It got sold." Yes, he'd go to the next one, and you go to the next one.
We spent hours and hours flipping through them every month. We call each other. Oh, look at page 28.
Yeah, circling them.
I'm friends on Facebook with Paul Chu from Paul's Weird Auction. That we used to deal with back in the day. Paul's got a auction going on this date, Frank. We got to see what he's got. I'll call him every 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about First of all, let's talk about the scam of a phone-in auction in 1995. No, you're high bidder. Oh no, you're outbid. Oh no, all right, prove it. No, dude. So I don't think anybody ever lost a dime on an auction over the paper. I mean, I'm convinced of it.
I think everything we talked about with Mego so far is phenomenal, but I think the real game changer is what I'm about to show you. I think this changed everything.
Sure, let's see it.
All right, it just messed up, but I think this was. When they got the licensing to do this, I think it really changed the game. I think this changed everything.
The world's greatest superheroes. Now,
the world's greatest superheroes.
Who would think of some of the character choices there, right? Conan.
Oh, it's crazy.
Isis.
Well, all right. It sounds funny now, but you got to remember. See, this is where the age thing comes in. I grew up putting on, oh my God, I don't want to get into Saturday cartoons, but anybody who's, 40 years or older Saturday was everything, right? To all of us.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember there was a Mighty Isis show.
Oh,
Right?
that's right. That's right.
Right.
I forgot about
And
that. Yep.
and you also got to remember Marty was 20 years my senior, so he's about 70, 75 now. Tarzan was one of his favorite characters as a kid.
Wow.
Why
he
not?
actually, he couldn't get Lone Ranger, or we would have had a Lone Ranger Mego, which would have been awesome.
I love the Lone Ranger. Yep.
And now you look back, and even 20 years ago, you look back at the Catwoman outfit, and you go, "What the fuck?" But you got to remember that's the outfit she was wearing in 1970.
Right.
You know. So
Yeah.
it's all. But here, you know what always blows people away. Let's take a look at this list. It's a great list, Rob. Like, all right, and again, like this is the conversations you would have at a toy show. How the fuck did they sell a Green Goblin and not give him a glider? Right. Or at least a paper cutout on the back. Or how did Spider-Man not have? Oh wait, where's the Penguin's umbrella?
Yes.
You know, like you couldn't even make a cutout on the back. So you got to remember, man, we're in the early days of toy marketing. So as good as Marty was, you guys all know. Take a look at that list. And take a look at the beautiful character collection. Today there'd be a black suit Batman. A black. How many different variations on that line would there be?
Oh, without doubt.
Hundreds, right?
The
Hundreds.
Chase figure you'd have to search for. The
Yep.
Chase, any of a Superman in a black costume or something. The
Yep.
Chase.
Yeah. They hit this
One
wall.
thing I want to know is, what the first releases were Superman, Batman,
Robin, Aquaman.
Aquaman.
How the hell did Aquaman get in the first release? Like,
Oh,
who
dude,
the hell liked Aquaman?
Justice League, man.
Oh my God, Aquaman? Yeah, they couldn't do the Joker. They couldn't
you know what's so funny?
Captain America do friggin' Aquaman? Come on,
I gotta tell you, man. My fucking Aquaman was one of my first Migos, and I played with him in the bathtub so much. Aunt Margie had he fell apart. He, like, his whole body got, that string.
I bet you still play with Aquaman in the bathtub.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the great white shark.
Oh boy, or the brown shark.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
It's a great list for sure, man. And to
Look
this
at that.
day, I love that Superman. I love that Thing. I love the Fantastic Four. There's a ton there that I just really, really dig.
The innovation is incredible. The boots, the suits, the heads. Some of the, like Greg was saying in a prior episode, some of the best head sculpts, are
ever.
line,
He just said it. And you know what's funny? I'm glad that we were actually transitioning well. We showed the bodies, certain figures, because every figure you see there, I think except Tarzan and maybe a couple others, were on both bodies. Because as they transition, they put them on. However, today there are certain bodies, certain characters that look better on a specific body.
Mm-hmm.
Superman looks fantastic on a T1, where he doesn't quite fill out the suit right in a T2. So,
right.
And the other thing is too, the earlier stuff had different material, and it tends to I don't want to say more detail, but there's a certain magic for some reason on the early releases of those 4 or 5 figures. Batman had the removable cowl, which is a huge fucking
That's
thing.
early though, right? That's only early, right?
Oh, that was early. Yeah. Then they stopped it because they figured we'll retool the head. We don't have to spend the money for the cowl. Robin had a little mask, which is worth a fortune.
Right. Very hard to find as well to this day.
Was this big? 30 seconds after it was opened, it was on your car floor. There he is. Look at that. Now, I mean, literally, I can attest that Greg actually won me one of these on eBay pre-picture, and it was the real mask. You were taking your chance. What a lot of people tended to do during the pre-internet days was they would take a Gabriel Lone Ranger mask and put it on Robin and claim it was the removable mask. It wasn't.
Right.
Well, if you didn't know, you didn't know.
You didn't know, man. Yeah, and it didn't matter. I remember Mark Huckaboon, who's a Mego dealer. Well, a well-known,
he's a god.
Well-known Mego dealer. He charged me $100 for a cow, and I was happy to pay it, man. Back in the day, man.
But look at the innovation just in this list. Look at the reuse of the body. Look at you know,
Everybody's doing that now. Mattel, Hasbro, they're reusing parts, they're reusing bodies.
Now, the thing on the same body as the Hulk is it
Yes.
just with an outfit on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then look at the women's bodies. You know, that's the beauty of Mego back then. For the foresight to see to do this,
right?
No other toy company did.
Yeah, right. But here's like okay. Tell me this isn't crazy. The Penguin and Mxyzptlk both had the fat belly body, right? Mxyzptlk, because of that body, and they needed to justify what they spent on Penguin, they didn't do a Luther. They did a Mxyzptlk. How fucked up is that?
I got you.
I mean, I didn't know who Mxyzptlk was.
Yeah, it makes sense, though. You know, I get it.
Yeah, up until like 2004, you could still find a Mego Mxyzptlk on the shelf.
Right. I was just about to say that. He was...
not many people wanted him. No.
Right.
Bad character choice. You know, very bad.
I like it though. I mean, the sculpt is good, right?
It is. There's actually two sculpts, one smirking, one not.
Right. Smirking, yep. But I think it's a great head sculpt. Penguin too, I think is a stellar head sculpt.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say their weakness in head sculpts or anything, and it comes down to the rooted hair, was the women. The female figures, the bodies and stuff just didn't quite work. But it's funny because if you look at the Planet of the Apes and you look at Zira, she didn't have rooted hair and she looks great. Yeah. The Mego Planet of the Ape line, which, you know, maybe we'll get to or we won't, is it's stunning. It's an amazing line, you know.
And that led to, you know, why they didn't pick up Star Wars. You know, they failed on lines too. A lot of lines
well,
that's Star Wars.
That's exactly right. Prior to Star Wars, because of Marty's boldness to just take on these licenses, I'm going to name a couple licenses that they had, and like I got my book here.
Pre Star Wars or after Star Wars? No, after Star Wars, they did everything. We had everything.
They did everything, but let's go pre Star Wars, right? Captain and Tennille. How many Captain and Tennilles do you think they sold? Now this was on the 12-inch body, but how many you think Captain and Tennille were walking off the shelf heavy? Share. I think the Share line actually might have sold a little bit, but I can't. Here, let's take a look at some more duds. Oh God, man, they did the Micronauts, but that was after Happy Days. You would think Happy Days sold, but think about it, man. It's a boring line. What are you going to do with Potsy in the garage?
You know, again, great sculpts. The design was innovative.
A lot of money going out. You know what I mean? A lot of money going out. Now let's talk about rather than look at the weaknesses. Let's talk about the Hammer lines. Obviously, world's greatest superheroes, right?
Right.
Planet of the Apes, as I mentioned, fantastic.
Still very collectible to this day. I know a lot of people collect that line.
Greg, Rob, you've all seen them. Beautiful figures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, beautiful figures. And there's a lot of foreign stuff because Mego did stuff that they didn't do here overseas, and that's even more beautiful.
You're making me want to collect Mego. I'm not even going to lie. Like, you guys are making me want to collect Mego.
Dude,
right now.
I know, right? I know. I'm looking at my book.
Your wallet is not big enough.
I'm looking at my notes. Oh, they did Menudo dolls. They didn't go over well. But probably. And I think it's arguable, but I think if you talk to any hardcore Mego guy, this is a pretty big statement, but I definitely think it's true. Again, Wizard of Oz was a great line, but again, Girl Boy, their Star Trek line is among the greatest action figure line ever done.
I was just about to say that even now, when Mego's back since I think 2018. They're bringing back out the Star Trek figures, dude, and they're fantastic.
Look at those head sculpts. Look at the attention to detail. Look at the Romulan helmet. It is a work of art, man. And I mean that Star Trek line from beginning to end. And you know, one of the things that we're leaving out, we're talking about Mego figures. Marty Abrams was a tech guy, so. Mego had Star Trek communicators, which were basically walkie-talkies. Dude, that sounds like nothing today. It was a big deal. Mego had a phaser that you shot on the wall, and it showed, you know, it was like a flashlight thing. They also had target games. They were into electronics before electronics were cool, and they cross-marketed them, which is wow. Yeah. You know, I mean, You know,
He had a lot of insight. He had a lot of insiders in the Japanese, in the Chinese, the markets.
toy
and all that.
market. Yep,
Yeah.
without a doubt, man. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm looking at this. Rob, you have any pictures of the Star Trek line you can put up or no?
I'll look real quick. Go ahead.
Here, Greg, real quick, they did a playset called Mission to Gamma 5. I mean, the Star Trek bridge. I mean, dude, look, I don't know if you guys can see this. This thing was a work of art, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just wow, man.
I'm not even going to. Over the last year, I've thought about buying their new Mego figures, but here's my problem, right? I would buy them, and then I'd want them on LJN or Mego bodies with LJN arms, so I'd have to send them to Charlie to fix them for me. Can you paint the color of the communicator? And it's just the $14.99 price tag now goes to $50 or $100 per figure just because I'd want to pay them
or more.
Yeah.
So, you got without a doubt. The magic is their simplicity, though.
Yeah,
that's the magic,
Yeah. But the sculpts are so good. The Kirk.
Oh my God, the Kirk.
Yeah.
The Kirk. Every one of them. Every single one. You know, it's funny. When I had a complete collection of them set up. I always wanted to check off, so I took in Kirk body outfit and put it on an Action Jackson head, and I had, it was a custom in the sense that it was nothing but a clothes change. You know what I mean?
Right.
But they never did a Sulu. Now they've done a Sulu.
Now they've done a Sulu. Yeah, right. To go in the collection. Yep.
It's awesome, man. I mean, it's just and that the playset had. There you go. Look at that. I mean, every
insane.
One of them.
Yep, they're all good.
Absolutely. They're all good, man. It's so. I look at them and I'm like, wow. When you see them displayed properly, they are. Look, I'm a fan of Playmate Star Trek Next Gen. But Mego is the king with that. It'll never be surpassed. Just amazing.
Man. I want them now. I want to start collecting Mego Star Trek.
Well, you guys. Well, Greg, tell everybody, right? We're kind of jumping ahead, but right now you can go to Target or you could go online and anywhere from $10 to $20 have a Mego.
Yep, and they've done Gorn.
Oh, a better Gorn, the real Gorn.
Yeah,
not the fake Gorn. Yeah.
right. Yeah, the real Gorn. It's green.
Yeah.
Sculpted by James Brady, and he's done a lot of Mego Star Trek customs over the past 20 years. But now these are at retail with these great head sculpts from these guys. And man, I'm just sitting here like everything's starting to come back to me too, because it's been quite a few years since I've talked about Mego or collected any kind of Mego related items beside flat, customs. But I'm digging it, man. Yeah, I want a Kirk and Spock right now.
Without a doubt. And you know what's really cool? Mego went through its highs. Star Wars hit. It went through its lows, and then because of the internet and guys getting back into it, it kind of hit and it faded for a while. You're going to see a whole generation. Listen, that 9-year-old who's going to Target does not know it's a Mego. 25 years from now, they're going to open up the internet and go Mego Museum and realize there's a whole world behind it. We're leaving out some of the greatest lines of all. Micronauts is fantastic. And that was just,
and that's after.
We should do a whole show on Micronauts.
It's a line that Micronauts is a line. What was it originally called out of Japan? It was a
Takara line. I don't really recall the line.
They bought it from Takara and then made it into Micronauts.
Marty flew over to Japan one time and was going to the Toy Expo and saw these things. Now remember, Star Wars had burnt him. He was very upset that they didn't get that license. So they were buying anything space. Anything that was, robot wise or space wise. They took the, they did quite a few space lines that didn't work out real well. Black Hole, I think it was, but Micronauts ended up, they failed at retail, but now 50 years later, they are so innovative and so amazing because they were such an early robot line with that, Oh, look at that. Rob's showing, look at the vehicles. It looks silly now, but man, dude, when you're 10 years old, look at that box art. You're buying that.
Oh, yeah. Look at that, man. That's crazy. It jumps right at you. Look at that. You see down on the shelf. How could you not want this?
Right.
Oh yeah. That was the other thing, man. Look how innovative they were with. Okay, we got you for the $3 or $1.50 Mego. Now we're gonna make a play set, and the Bat Cave. They had the Bat Cave, the Wayne Foundation, Bat Helicopter. That's just one line. Planet of the Apes had 4 or 5 play sets, along with. Here's a great early reuse. They took the Action Jackson shitty horse that actually had a cable to it, and you put D batteries, those big D batteries in it, and they couldn't sell them. Marty repackaged it as a Planet of the Apes horse.
Nice.
And now it's worth a lot of money. It's hard to find. Mego did a really lot of cool lines too Marty was smart. Let's talk about that a little. They saved money because they didn't have to pay licensing, right? So what do? We've got all these Mego bodies. What can we do to come up with some ideas that are not going to cost us quite as much in terms of licensing? Licensing was relatively cheap back then, but it still cost something. And you're talking about profits on pennies on the margin. They did a Knights line, Black Knight, King Arthur. Fantastic line,
right?
Man, people don't even know about that stuff now, but those lines were fantastic. Wait a minute, they did my favorite movie of all time is Errol Flynn Robin Hood. I can't tell you what it felt like to see a Robin Hood Mego on the shelf. Nobody even young kids don't even know Robin Hood is in general unless it's a modern version. Here was this classic Robin Hood line. They did Pirates, so let's think about.
The Old West too. The Old West.
And the Old West. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep.
So think about that. You've got Western, Pirates, Knights, and whatever the hell else I just said.
That was
and you
innovative. That's what he did with all them bodies, right? I mean.
Yeah, man.
And the play sets. The play sets are universal too. There's a change of some scenery or the here and there.
Cardboard. Some cardboard.
Right.
Yeah. They really. They got stuck with so much Action Jackson shit because it was such a dud. Like the Mego Planet of the House Treehouse. Not only did they use it for their Planet of the Apes the Action Jackson, they used it for Planet of the Apes. They used it for their doll called Dynamite. They made it her beach house. No. I mean, they were turning shit into anything they could to move it.
Serious. Planet of the Apes was a huge movie.
Huge movie, 5 movies, 4 or 5 movies, man.
I mean, when they hit, it hit. And kids wanted toys of that. And he made a lot of money off Planet of the Apes.
I wish you could see the figures. It wouldn't surprise me if they sold as many apes and Star Trek as they did. Think about the hit. Imagine a company today owning Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, and Marvel and DC. You couldn't afford to own those 4 lines today.
No.
That's true.
Only Hasbro. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man. I mean, wow. The Planet of the Apes line, like you said, was just amazing, So I mean, again, it's hard to talk about, but if we, I think we've kind of said how I got into Megos, and I'm kind of shifting gears here. But basically, Greg, you and I, as soon as we, that bug hit, I'll never forget the day I showed you I was sorry I bought the flat Batman. I was sorry I bought it because I knew I was, moving on. I remember showing you that Batman, and you were like,
"Wow!" Fell in love with it. Fell in love with it, man.
You're like, "I need one now."
And the big box deal you did with our friend Mike from North Jersey, right? I think you traded alter egos and for flats. Yep. And
you ended up with anything I had doubles with, and that was the beginning of your foundation. And you know what's so funny, Greg? What did I do with them? Okay, one of the things that people, this is definitely Toy Fair did. What was it? Crazy Mego Theater, or whatever it was called at the time. Mm-hmm. And Mego, there was flats in here mixed in with regular Megos, and I remember looking at those X-Men and thinking, wow, but didn't realize they were flats because I was reading this Toy Fair before I had anything to do with customs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Toy Fair, Twisted Toy
Fair Theater, right? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'm sitting here waiting to go on with you tonight, and I'm reading it. And,
cool.
I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. the page. Oh yeah, there it is. Wow. Look at that. You guys can't imagine what that was like to see in 1998.
Yeah.
Cannot imagine. Oh my God, dude. I mean, it was just unbelievable, you know? Ah.
Yeah. Charlie is an innovator. He is I know we kind of got away from him while I was looking it up and I kind of missed it. I'm sorry, but this is off charlieflat.com, which is the site that Greg built and actually maintains. And yeah, it is really, Charlie is an innovator beyond belief. You know, who would do that figure? You know, come on. And I love it. You know, I don't know what that says about me, but I love it.
I don't have one of those, but I love it too.
Yeah.
What is that?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror, yeah. I mean, that was the shit he was doing. That was just amazing. And what's cool, man, when you look at the Twisted Toy Fair and you see those X-Men, there was a time Greg and I would have stole your grandmom to own those figures. I mean, we would kidnap grandma and put her on a train. I mean, right, Greg? To own a flat Wolverine.
You want grandma back? We want a flat Daredevil.
Yeah, I know. I mean, crazy, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, is that Charlie or is that you putting them in them cases?
That was I went to Mego Meet 2018 with Type 3 Toys, and that was Charlie's Mego Meet 2018 display. It was what you just saw.
Oh, so he went.
He went. Yes, he went to that one.
Oh, wow.
And I think they went to the year after, but I wasn't able to go that year. And funny story, in 2018, I was looking forward to hanging out with Charlie and, John and talking about figures and everything. Like the second day in, I got this crazy allergic reaction on my face, so I didn't even want to come out of my room for like 2 days.
Oh man, fuck! You should have just. Oh my god! Look at
there you go. There's Frank likes that one. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, what a dude! That was a classic, man. Again, remember
Rob's favorite.
Yeah, I love that figure, man. I always did. I mean, that's a newer one. That's definitely newer than the one I've seen.
Definitely.
That's a newer sculpt, right? Like
But that's my connection to Megos is how big I am into Mr. Flat's customs, even to this day.
Right.
Such an innovator, and I'm still amazed at when I see his stuff. I just am.
Yeah, and that says a lot about Mego, right? Because trying to reel it in that way, the fact that Mego was such an influence on Charlie that he felt the need to do that. Mego's going to be around long after we're gone. And the Mego Museum. I think the Mego Museum is arguably the best toy site on the net in terms of
I can see that.
The history. It's now 25 years old.
Yep, I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree with you guys.
Absolutely. How many people in a year inadvertently end up there, whether it's because they bought a Target Mego or they're looking for their kids stuff and get into the hobby because of that site. So you can't, and it's not. It's been good for so long. I think people kind of take it for granted. There's a sub site called Plaid Stallions that's like kind of a break off of the Mego Museum.
Right.
Both sites I think are run by the same guy.
They are. I'm friends with Brian on he goes by Brian, on Facebook or on the forums and stuff. Yeah.
He deserves all the credit because for waving the flag, keeping it going, because I really just think Mego is not going to go anywhere. I think their days look brighter than they did a decade ago.
A crusty carded Mego, come on, that's still a thing of artwork, I think that's what Superpowers is based on, if you kind of got the same feel as
because Superpowers, the card art is arguably as good as the figures.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, what was, for people that don't know, what were Kresge cards?
Oh, okay. Rob, you want to take it or you want me to take it?
No, go for it.
Kresge was basically the Kmart before it was Kmart. They eventually Kresge turned into Kmart, and they had enough buying power that they went to you got to remember, Rob showed the box display. It works real well. Remember that box display you showed, Rob? Well, not if you think about a Walmart or a Kmart back in the day, that box display really doesn't work well with their aisles. You know what I mean? So they went to Mego and they to Marty or Mego somewhere and said, look, we're going to buy enough figures that we want our own exclusive cards. We want to peg them.
Okay.
We don't want them in boxes because we don't have countertops like upscale toy store. You got to remember, 1970, there were a lot of mom and pop toy stores still around. So that display worked great. Didn't work good for a Kmart or Kresge. So consequently, Kresge, there you go. Well, those aren't Kreskes. Those are me. There's a Kresge, that top one right there, and they got their own cards. Well, that gave Marty, other retailers said, look, we also want cards. The boxes aren't working for us. And later on, they ended up on cards, but Kresge cards were exclusive to Kresge for the most part. There are some exceptions. And today they're highly, highly prized because of their rarity.
What is this? This isn't a Kresge?
No, that's a standard card that came out later. Because when people saw what was, again, the toy business was a small world. And if I'm running Alexander's or Bradley's, I'm like, well, we don't really want to deal with these boxes. Think about the boxes. Kids are opening them up, taking the figures out. They're ending up all over the floors. It really wasn't a great idea to have them in the boxes. So,
I like the Kresges, man.
Everybody loves the Kresge.
So that's the difference, right? The logo is kind of on top of the card.
Yep.
Like that big red logo. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
It's wow. I mean, honestly, look at that. Every card rocks, but the Kresge, because of its exclusivity,
it shines. It does.
It shines. It always did. They were always elusive for even me. I mean, here's another innovation. They took the Mego body, they gave it a button on the back, and they called it fist fighting. And boom, look at that.
So these are 8-inch still? We're still in 8-inch run?
We're still in the 8-inch. Yeah, we could do a whole show on the size. They eventually, what do we do with them? We go down to 3 3/4 and we go up to 12-inch.
Right. And they're even doing 12-inch right, or I think they're doing actually 14-inch right now. 14-inch figures.
Yeah, those I actually don't like as much as the 8-inch.
Right,
I think they lose some. I think they lose some detail in the 14-inch.
Mm-hmm. So talking about the packaging, and I just want to make sure that people know kind of the differences. Is
look at that.
Awesome, just awesome cards, man. Yeah. The solid boxes. Let's go back to them for a minute since we're talking about packaging. So
sure,
they had the 4 original figures. So Superman, Batman, Robin, and Aquaman.
Aquaman. Come on.
And Aquaman.
The original 4 boxes were, they called them solid boxes. Why, Frank, compared to the other boxes?
Again, we're going into the power of the retailer. The very short time, it's the feeling is only the first shipments arrived in solid boxes. Okay. And what they were was they showed the picture on the front and the back of the figure, a picture, an actual artwork, and there was no way to see what was inside. So Junior, me, you, and Rob want to know what's inside the box. We rip open the box. Mego's alternative to that was to put cello on one side. So the solid boxes become ultra rare because they were only around for the initial run. And all later examples have a cello where you can see inside the box, very similar to what we have today. So when you go to a store today and you see an example of a alien figure, you can see or even sometimes touch the figure now.
Right.
Well, if it's in a solid box, it's hard to tell. There you go. There's the difference. Rob's pointing right at it.
Right,
solid box would have that picture on both sides, and later on, very early on. Now, this happened really early on. You got to remember,
right? Retailers were having an issue with kids opening the boxes to see what was inside. Yes, nobody knew what Mego was.
Nobody knew what it was. There's a famous story. At the same time that this is happening, Wonder Bread decided to put superhero stickers in their Wonder Bread. Well, that was the biggest fucking mistake of all time because
everybody wanted the stickers.
All over the country, people were getting ripped open Wonder Bread because kids were ripping open the fucking Wonder Bread and getting the Wonder Bread stickers. Bad idea. I mean, who who's scoping out the Wonder Bread to see if some kid's taking all 50 stickers out of there.
So I have another question. This is something I don't know. Was the removable mask Robin in those salad boxes?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that's yes. And but the as rare as the removable mask Robin is, it's 10 times rarer on a Kresge card because he never made it on their standard card.
Okay, right.
Removable mask Robin only, to my knowledge, was on a Kresge card. And to be honest with you, Greg, you actually owned one.
Now, yep, years and years ago. Yep, I remember. Yeah.
Yep, you bought it from a toy dealer in Ocean City. He that shall not be named, and then you sold it to Josh Lewinsky.
Josh Walensky. Yep.
Yep. Toy. Wow. He had a great name. Honestly, Plastic Dreams. Yep. And there's a solid box Batman with the cowl. Now, the solid box cowl with the Batman removable cowl also, to my knowledge, only came on a Kresge card. Those are the
look
holy
at that figure, man. Look how bright and shiny.
That's
my
great. God!
Look at that.
Yeah, you're looking at T1. Now, removable mask was only on and mask were only on T1 bodies. The material on these early suits is spectacular. It's much more different in later versions. There's something so iconic about that figure. How can you? I mean, look at that. It's just you know. I don't want to get into the many variations, but Frank, wow.
Real quick, just touch on your solid boxes. I remember there's a story behind the solid boxes you had. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to I need a little background. So there's this chubby redheaded kid named John Bonavito, and he happens to live in New York, very close to the Mego factory, where I don't know if it was a factory where Mego's located, their corporate office. He grows up with Mego's, and he makes this. This is the first book, to my knowledge, that is only dedicated to Mego's. It's a very early action book. I've had it for all the way back to the trailer, Greg. I mean, there's notes in here. Your phone number's in here.
Right.
Call Paul. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Well, this guy, John, makes this book. I go out. It killed me at the time. I was in college, no money. I paid $19.99 for this fucker. I mean, I was making $6 an hour working at the beauty supply. Anyway, I get this book and I decide that I have to have every Mego from my childhood, including these variations. And Greg, anybody who's listening to this podcast this show will know that part of being a collector is the hunt. The thrill of the hunt is everything. So I had no idea what a goddamn solid box was, and we've explained what a solid box was, but they would be one of my holy grails, because at the time in this very small Mego museum community, nobody owned all four. There were some people who had a Batman, some people who had a Robin, some people who had Aquaman.
Now it was tough. He was tough.
Now they're all rare.
Mm-hmm.
They're all rare. But like Rob said, why did they do Aquaman? Well, I don't know the numbers, but let's just say there was 24 in a box. Only 4 would have been Aquaman.
Oh wow!
Four solid boxes. So now your odds of finding one are so reduced. So anyway, I'll make it quick. I'm in the Megos. I'm early member on the Mego Museum, and a guy posts. He's a member of the Mego Museum, and a guy posts, "Hey, I'm at a Kresge's cleaning up. The store is closed, and I'm cleaning up the basement, and there's four solid boxes crushed on the floor." Well, back then, I don't know if people were just slow on the draw. No pictures, nothing. Oh, no. Yeah. I don't know if people were just slow on the draw or what. Well,
nobody believed him. I remember nobody believed him.
No, yeah, that's right. They, show us pictures. Mm-hmm. I don't believe. Well, my instincts, I reach out to him, and he's right in he was in Long Island, New York. And he says, yeah, man, I got an Aquaman, I got a Batman, and I got a Robin. Ironically, I already had a solid box Superman.
Yep.
No figures. There's no figures in these boxes, but I have those figures loose. So it didn't matter. I had the correct figures loose. And he goes, look, I'm part of the museum. I know that they're rare. Make me an offer. So I got the 3 solid boxes for all 4 Teen Titan figures.
Wow.
And what's really funny,
They're rare also.
they're rare, but they're nowhere near as rare as the solid boxes. But the thing was, they weren't as valuable to anybody because you had to have the figures to go in them. And every one of those figures, the Aquaman, the Batman, the Robin, and even the Superman are different than. You can't just go grab any Mego Batman. You have to have a specific Batman, like we just looked at.
Right.
A specific, which is rare. It had the stickers were different. The early knitting was different. But what's funny is, I remember everybody saying, I called the guy on the board. Other people called him. He wants too much. He wants too much. He wants too much. They
didn't know if he was bullshitting or not.
Right.
They didn't know if it was real.
They didn't know if it was
pictures.
real. There's only one way to find out.
Yeah.
Get in your car.
Drive
right?
to New York. Yeah.
Put your damn.
You put your balls on the line, and you
right.
went.
I drove up. I think I met him. I actually didn't drive to New York. I drove to Exit 7 on the Parkway, which was a place Rob and I Turnpike at a diner. Yeah, and met him, and sure enough, I got 3 kind of beat up boxes for.
But they were good. They were nice.
Well, I ended up getting $10,000 for them.
Jeez.
So.
Right.
I traded $1,000 worth of Teen Titans now remember I added the figures, but I had nowhere near $10,000 into those 4 figures.
No.
And that was it. And then I remember when I posted it on the Mego board with pictures, like people were blown away that we didn't believe him, we didn't think he had him, he wanted too much,
Sure.
So yeah, that's
Wow.
my solid boxes. Which were, again, Mark Huckaboon and a few other people had sets, but basically it was one of the few complete sets of all 4 with Aquaman, and they ended up coming off the floor of a basement, being swept up for the
I
trash.
know you got many stories, and we definitely got to do a part 2 of this just to tell some of the story. It's like the second Ralph and some of the stories with the sharks, the box sharks. I mean,
Frank had one of the best video
collection
collections in the world at the time, if not the best at the time.
Yeah, sure.
I would say one of the best. Mark Huckaboon, who again he was innovator in toy collecting. He started selling and collecting toys before he was in his teens. He was an early toy shop guy. I actually remember talking to his mom more than him. But he was a true innovator. He's still around in the hobby. He's nowhere near where he was because at the time it was a different world, pre-internet.
He was loaded on inventory at the time too, and just over the years you sell stuff. I mean, but at the time he was the guy to go to for mint stuff.
I was at Atlantic City when I watched a guy drop $100,000 with him. You know? I mean, we're talking about a time when I was making $8 an hour in college, and here's this kid who's 10 years younger than me. Greg's age at the time, making $100,000 checks. I mean, Mark has sold to, Leonardo DiCaprio. He's definitely the Mego guy and a toy guy. I know he actually ended up creating his own monster president's line with the 8-inch body. So he actually did toys. We'll talk about Mark some other time. It's a big thing. We should actually do a show on some of the great toy deals. And I'd love
part 2, man. Yeah, Mego part 2. Yeah,
Mego part 2 or whatever. I'm getting tired. I'm getting a little beat myself, man.
The deals that all 3 of us have done over the years, just Mego and Star Wars, and the people we like. I'm still friends with Paul Chu on Facebook.
Yeah.
We talk every now
Me
and
too.
then.
The dentist. He's a dentist.
He's a dentist now. Yeah. And he's friends with Mark, and Rob and I have talked about having Josh Walensky on the show.
Josh was an innovator, and I could tell you how, but again, another story for another day.
Yep.
Josh was way ahead of his time with how he made money. Plastic Dreams. Josh was making a lot of money.
I didn't even remember owning the removable mask Robin. I remember owning Power of the Force Yak Face I bought from Josh.
Yep. But you actually bought from a dealer who shall not be named. You bought the Robin, and you flipped it to Josh. And I think you actually at the time, you were into Star Wars, Power of the Force.
Right.
And I know you got your money back from Josh and some figures.
Right.
That's always a great deal, you know.
Yep.
I mean, that's
and I ended up selling him everything when I got out of Star Wars at a show one day, just because of all the deals that we did. But
Day of the deals that's coming.
I think I would love to do
Day of the deals. Yeah,
I would love to do a day of the deals, man.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah, we have to.
That's a great idea, man.
It is.
I got a fly in my basement. I'm in my basement.
I have them all
the
the time. They drive me nuts.
The weather has been so, climate control or climate change.
I was starting to question if you were a serial killer with all that stuff behind you.
Oh no! I actually just wanted to. My wife's watching TV, and I didn't want to be up there.
No, you're good. You're good.
But so let's do some more of this. Whenever you guys want to schedule it. All right. I think we've got a lot more to say.
Yeah, I agree. We're going over an hour now, and I think we're pretty good. That was definitely an interesting conversation.
Part one.
Yeah.
Mego, we'll do part 2. Yeah.
Return of the Moz.
I got to tell you,
Return of the Mozzes.
Are you guys able to have 4 on here?
Yes.
Or is it just 3? I think we should recruit a couple like Justin or somebody, and a day of the deal. Talk about your deals. I think that's a really great future episode and something we should all look forward to.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely,
dude. I got some stories, man, and so I know everybody I'm looking at's got some stories.
We can have. I'm pretty sure you can have as many people as you want, but the problem is if you have too many, everybody starts talking. You can't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So you want to keep it to 4, 5 at the most if you have a special episode or something.
Right, Greg. Just get a stop sign. Get a stop sign that says "Shut up, shut up." Yeah, there you go. Stop.
Show it.
I didn't realize it. Can you see that? It shows up backwards for me. Can you see Frank's
it's good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
No, I was good this time.
You were good. Yeah,
that's great.
I was ready, and I didn't get to use him until now.
That's great. Wait, I got full disclosure, guys. I didn't know about that. I did not know about that, man. That's
we
great.
Didn't have to use it. Greg held his discretion on you.
I did. Well,
you're a lot of fun, Frank, having on. You're very interesting to talk to.
You guys too, man. We're all friends, man. Yep. This is like being at a bar. This is during COVID. This is like me having a beer with 2 guys that are my best friends.
Awesome.
The life of COVID.
But yeah, thanks, Frank, for coming on. And
thank you, man. I've had a great time, man. It was a lot of fun, man.
We'll do part 2 soon.
Part 2, and then let's do toy deals because I love that. I'm excited about that because I know some of the stories, Greg, you've got.
Yep.
I know about you and Boba Fett with the number on the wrist or Princess Leia.
My favorite one is still outrunning the Elvis impersonator that was the toy collector.
Oh yeah,
you're on crutches. Remember that we had to outrun him.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one. That's where that was Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Star Wars Princess Leia. Yeah. Your Boba Fett with the numbers has got to come up. I can't. Do you remember that?
Hold it off.
All right. We'll talk about it next time. Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, and there's still a lot to say about Mego. We really have. It's hard to stay focused on we could just give a history of Mego, but again, we brought flat into it, and then we brought customs into it because it's so big. But I think we did a good job letting people know about
and Mego's back 2018 they started making stuff again.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. That's a whole nother episode.
It's a whole nother episode. A lot of cool stuff to come up. So anybody listening should just know that there's some cool shit coming up. All right?
Yeah, Mego part 2. All right, guys, thank you so much. And it was
Take care, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg,
and remember, if it makes you happy, do it. And if it doesn't, then don't.